In a Texas bar, a dancer named Cherry Darling dances energetically for those watching. However, when the music ends, she cries while lying on the stage, tired of being treated like an object every night. In the dressing room, her boss, Skip, argues with her for crying in front of everyone. Cherry tells him she's going to stop dancing because she needs to completely change her life. Skip doesn't take her seriously, but she takes her earnings and leaves the bar early. On her way back, Cherry stumbles near the road after almost being hit by several army trucks. She gets up with difficulty, feeling pain from a thorn that went into her leg. The army trucks continue to a military base far from the city. Abby, who is an engineer who works with biology and chemistry, gets down from a truck and argues with a guy named Romy because he let 3 things escape. To punish him, Abby's friends hold Romy down and do something very serious to him, ripping off his balls. Then Abby shoots and kills him. Lieutenant Muldoon gets down from a truck and asks Abby for the chemical products he wants. Abby says everything is at the base, but Muldoon says the deal is off and now he wants to take everything for himself. Muldoon's soldiers start shooting at Abby's companions. While they hold Abby on the ground, Muldoon demands the chemicals again, while his face starts showing injuries. Abby tells him that what he wants is everywhere before shooting at a cylinder that spreads a green gas through the air. Muldoon and his team enter a green mist, while Abby escapes in a truck, but a man climbs on top of the truck and tries to grab him. Hey, the movie I'm going to summarize is called Plan3t T3rror. It's one of the best zombie movies that mixes action, comedy, and horror. I'm not much of a laugher, but this movie made me laugh a lot. I confess this was the most exaggerated zombie movie I've ever seen in my life. Surprisingly, the movie isn't bad. On the contrary, it's very good. That's why I invite you to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave a like to receive the best recaps. Nearby, Tammy stops at a bar called Bone Shack to cool down her overheated car. The owner, JT, offers Tammy water and invites her for a barbecue, but she doesn't want any. Later, Dr. William Block and his wife, Dr. Dakota Block, wake up at 8 o'clock to go to work at the hospital. Dakota sees a green mist outside when she looks through the window. While making breakfast, Dakota says on the phone that a friend will bring her son, Tony, in 2 hours. She secretly calls her girlfriend and warns that her husband might know about their romance. In the Bone Shack bathroom, Cherry cleans her feet and removes a thorn from her leg. Ray, the town's car repairman, arrives and asks JT for coffee and some cigarettes. JT offers the coffee free of charge to celebrate his restaurant's 25 years. He organized a celebration, but unfortunately, Ray is only the second person to show up that night. JT shows him the only other customer, Cherry, who is sitting alone at a table. Ray says hi to Cherry and calls her Palomita, but she says she doesn't go by that nickname anymore. Ray notices that Cherry is wearing the jacket he had lost when she left. When Ray asks about what Cherry is doing with her life, she tells him she wants to be a comedian because everyone thinks she's very funny and says she already has shows scheduled in town. When Ray was about to leave, Cherry asks him for a ride. When William arrives at the hospital, a patient named Joe asks him to look at a bite on his arm. Joe says he was bitten 30 minutes ago, but his skin is already severely damaged, as if the bite was from much earlier. William tells him that he'll have to cut off the arm to prevent the disease from spreading to the rest of the body. Dakota, with a sinister look, arrives to give a sleep medicine. First, she gives a yellow injection for Joe not to feel pain. Then, when she gives a blue injection, she explains that he will barely feel it because the first medicine is already working. She gives a red injection and warns that he won't see her anymore. Soon, Joe starts drooling and passes out on the bed. About 3 kilometers from the army base, Tammy's car stops working and she tries to get a ride. When she signals for a car, 2 sick people appear out of nowhere and attack her, pulling out her insides. Cherry sees who is attacking and taking her body, but Ray thinks it's just an animal that was run over. Ray got startled by something on the road and flipped the truck. They were trapped upside down inside the truck. Cherry was angry with Ray, but suddenly someone pulled her out of the truck and took her into the woods. Ray tried to shoot at the attackers with his rifle, but couldn't finish them off. He went after Cherry and was shocked to see that she had lost her leg. At the hospital, Ray told William that 3 maniacs attacked Cherry and took her leg. Sheriff Haig showed up and arrested Ray because he had a gun without a permit and didn't believe his story. He was taken to the police station. Later, more sick people arrived at the hospital. A paramedic brought in a person who was already dead, and William asked them to call his wife. Cherry, when she woke up, was very sad to see that she no longer had her right leg. At the police station, Haig answers a call from his brother JT, who is upset about two strange individuals standing in front of his bar. Before hanging up, Haig wants to know how JT makes his barbecue and jokes about raising the rent, but JT says he won't tell, even if Haig insists. The two individuals soon arrive at the door. JT doesn't know they're sick and lets them in. Dakota gets scared when she sees William, and he shows her Tammy's body. A paramedic explains that they took out Tammy's brain. Dakota goes to another room to cry, and William takes Tammy's phone and follows her. William asks if Dakota knew Tammy was in town. She says she didn't know. Dakota says they weren't speaking anymore, but he doubts her. William wants to see her phone, but she doesn't let him. So, he uses a yellow syringe on her and makes her hand go numb. William takes the phone from her hand and sees that she was sending messages to Tammy. He tries to use a red syringe on her, but is interrupted by a paramedic and ends up locking his wife in the room. The paramedic tells him that the bodies disappeared and shows him the blood trail. At the police station, Deputy Tolo calls other officers to help with a crazy suspect who cut off his finger. When Haig goes there, they see that the suspect escaped. Deputy Carlos finds Tolo's ring and tries to return it, but a zombie bites his arm. More zombies arrive at the police station, and Haig and Tolo shoot at them. Other officers arrive to help fight the zombies. Ray takes down a zombie man and eliminates him with a shot, which also breaks the chain on his foot. Ray tells Haig that he's going to the hospital to get Cherry, and the sheriff and other officers decide to go along. With the hospital full of new people arriving, William decides to leave, afraid of catching the disease. On his way to find Dakota, he sees sick Joe hurting a doctor. Joe damages his glasses with a cutting tool, but the tool shuts off when Joe accidentally unplugs it. Instead, Joe makes William sick too, squeezing a wound on his face and getting blood on him. Meanwhile, a Texas police officer named Earl McGraw is taking care of his sick wife when Haig calls him on the radio for help. When he looks at his wife, she has turned into a sick person and comes at him. At the hospital, Dakota manages to escape by jumping through the window. When she gets to her car, she puts her weak hand on the handle and tries to open the door with her foot, but she slips and breaks her left wrist. While she's driving, Ray and the officers see the chaos at the hospital. Since Haig didn't give Ray a gun, he grabbed two knives that were in the glove compartment and ran to the hospital. Ray fights and hurts the zombies that try to grab him, being careful not to touch them and get sick too. When he finds Cherry, she's hiding under a sheet. She doesn't want to leave because she's missing a leg, so Ray breaks a table leg and puts it in place of her leg. They leave the hospital, and Ray protects Cherry from the sick ones until they reach his truck. When Dakota returns home, the twin babysitters say she's late. Dakota kicks them out and takes Tony to the car. Before they leave, the twin sisters break the windows and the windshield of the car with shovels. After that, she drives very fast. Soon after, officers and some people arrive at the place called Bone Shack. Haig decides to give police responsibilities to some people, but doesn't want to give a gun to Ray. When they enter, Haig sees his brother lying on the floor. Haig thinks his brother died, but JT gets up and says he must have passed out after eliminating the sick ones. Dakota stops in front of a house and asks Tony to get a gun that's in the car compartment. She warns the boy to use the gun if anyone who isn't her tries to enter, even his father. When she's getting close to the house, Tony accidentally shoots himself. She returns to the car, but William, who has changed form, grabs her and tries to put a strange liquid in her. Dakota manages to escape and takes Tony out of the car while more sick people appear. When Dakota knocks on the front door, her father, Earl, opens it while pointing his axe. Earl isn't very happy to see Dakota, but pulls her inside when he sees the infected ones chasing them. At the shack, Ray reminds Cherry that she's wearing his jacket and asks her to check the pocket. There, she finds the engagement ring with an inscription that says, "Us two against the world." Cherry confesses that she left because he didn't believe in their relationship anymore. Ray shows her that she's wrong by being intimate with her. Later, dozens of infected head to the shack while it burns. Tolo accidentally shot Haig in the neck, so he and Ray carry the sheriff behind the counter. Earl and other civilians also arrive at the restaurant to escape from the infected. Haig apologizes to Ray for bothering him and says he wouldn't have done it if he had known he was El Rey. The sheriff finally gives a gun to Ray and tells him to do what he does best. Tolo hesitates to give the gun to Ray but is impressed when he sees Ray spinning the pistols in his hands. Suddenly, 3 infected break into the restaurant and kill Tolo. Ray shoots the 3 infected and instructs the others to run outside. However, Ray notices that the infected are surrounding the vehicles outside, so he asks everyone to come back inside. He asks Skip to get the truck, but Skip refuses. Then Cherry takes Ray's keys and leaves. While Cherry heads for the truck, Ray shoots at the infected that are in her way. Finally, when she gets in the vehicle, an infected grabs the door and tries to pull her. Ray shoots him. Cherry drives the truck back into the restaurant so the others can get in. Meanwhile, Cherry gets a motorcycle and Skip and the babysitter twins go with JT in a convertible. Earl sacrifices himself to hold off the zombies. Ray has to go alone in Dakota's vehicle, but since it has flat tires, he takes Tony's mini motorcycle. The group shoots and runs over the zombies that are in the way, but they find many of them on a bridge. Soon after, Muldoon and his group shoot at the infected and capture Ray and the others who survived, taking them to a place that was a military base. Inside, Abby sees Ray and tells him that Muldoon is taking a chemical called DC2, which turns people into zombies. Muldoon uses this chemical to keep the symptoms under control. He also notices that a small group is not affected by the gas, and that these people might be the solution to finding a cure. Abby asks for Ray's help to return to the laboratory and finish the antidote. It's not long before 2 of Muldoon's men appear and take Dakota and Cherry. Ray tried to reach the group, but was attacked by another military man. While JT talked non-stop about how to make good barbecue, Ray understood that he was trying to distract the guard. Ray warned him not to do anything hasty, however. JT decided to confront one of the guards. They managed to knock out a guard, but another shot JT, hitting him in the stomach. Ray eliminated the guard and left with Abby to find Muldoon. When they found him, Muldoon removed his protective mask and explained why he wanted the DC-2. He and his team had accidentally eliminated bin Laden in Afghanistan. Instead of being rewarded, they were exposed to DC-2 gas by the government. He believed that the only way to find an antidote would be by exposing the gas to many people. Muldoon started to transform, so Ray and Abby eliminated him. The military men who captured Cherry got tired and forced her to dance with her wooden prosthetic. Cherry starts moving to the rhythm of the music, but unexpectedly knocks down a man using her artificial leg. When he falls, she steps hard on his face. The soldier, irritated, gets up and tries to attack and mess with Cherry. However, after spending a lot of time without his mask, something strange happens to his body. Meanwhile, another soldier advances to attack, but Dakota, regaining the use of her hands, uses her needles to neutralize them. It's not long before Ray and Abby appear to help. Abby wastes no time and shoots at the soldier who looks normal. Ray then removes Cherry's artificial leg and replaces it with a rifle and grenade launcher specially built for her. Without hesitation, Cherry launches a grenade in the enemy's direction to force entry into the control center. She takes the rifle and eliminates the soldiers who weren't expecting this in the room. Ray prepares the other survivors and directs them to go to the helicopters to escape. JT and Haig explain that they can't go with them, so Ray gives JT a control for explosives and asks him to wait 3 minutes before using it. Cherry accompanies Ray on the motorcycle to face the soldiers who are on their tail. The team realizes that the helicopter is heavily protected, so Abby tries to blend in with the guards to enter but ends up getting hit. While JT counts the time, he passes his barbecue recipe to Haig. JT activates the explosives as soon as his brother dies. Cherry propels herself high by launching a grenade on the ground. When she touches the ground, she spins while shooting at the soldiers around her. A confrontation happens while the remaining ones advance toward the helicopter. A soldier launches an explosive in Cherry's direction, but she manages to escape. Another soldier appears wanting to shoot at her, but Ray shoots first. However, the soldier hits Ray repeatedly before falling dead. While everyone goes to one helicopter, Dakota goes to the other looking for Cherry. William enters the helicopter to attack Dakota, but is killed by Earl. Skip takes control of the helicopter, and when more soldiers appear, he cuts them with the blades. Ray asks Cherry to leave him and go to a safe place by the sea. Cherry doesn't want to leave, but Ray ends up dying from his injuries. As the helicopter takes off, Dakota throws a rope to Cherry and asks her to grab it. Before grabbing the rope, Cherry gives Ray a kiss. They arrive in Mexico and see that the cities have been ruined by the epidemic. Now Cherry has begun a journey to find other survivors and guide them to a safe refuge near the sea. When an infected being appeared to attack a boy, Cherry eliminated it using a weapon attached to her leg. Returning to her new home, she carries her child tied to her back. She wishes Ray was there to see her and their son. Cherry remembers the engraving on her ring that says they are a team, facing the world together. What rating would you give this movie? Don't forget to activate the bell to receive the best summaries, and comment your opinion about the movie. So that's it, until the next summary.